Hi, my name is Marcus Patchett. Today I'm going to be talking about Saturn. So if you've seen the previous videos by Rod about Saturn, we've already talked about the archetypal nature of Saturn. If you watch the video about Saturn, you'll see that Saturn in Prince Harry's chart, who we're using as an example in this case because he has Saturn in a very prominent position in his chart, has a lot to say about his role in the world, about the fact that he belongs to a very traditional family, and his public role is very sort of circumscribed by that. So I'm going to be talking about traditional astrology's view of Saturn, and in particular a subject called sect, which is whether planets function better during the daytime or at night. In traditional astrology, some planets were thought to function better in the charts of people who were born during the day, and others were thought to function better in the charts of people who were born at night. Now, Saturn is one of those planets that functions better in the charts of people born during the day. And the reason for that is because Saturn is very traditionally considered to represent things which are very restrictive, which are very limiting, which are very cold. Saturn is sort of cold, dark, old and limiting. So the quality of the daytime, day is light, warm, bright relative to the night, is better for Saturn because you kind of want to antidote those qualities that Saturn symbolically represents. So Prince Harry was born during the day. So his Saturn, although it's right at the top of his chart, it's in the midheaven, which means it's pretty much in the middle of the sky. If you look up, Saturn's going to be somewhere up there when he was born. So his Saturn is very elevated, which can mean that the person feels very oppressed by their role in the world. They feel very oppressed by a sense of duty. But because he's born during the day, the older he gets, the more he'll grow into that sort of sense of duty, and the less oppressed he will feel by it. The other thing to say about Harry's Saturn in particular is that although it's on the midheaven, which is that part directly above, right in the middle of the sky, which symbolises his career, his public image and his mother, it's also in his 11th sign. In other words, he was born with Capricorn rising and his Saturn is in Scorpio, which is the 11th sign counting around the signs of the zodiac from Scorpio, and that is a relatively fortunate position. The 11th sign carries connotations of good luck. Traditionally in ancient astrology it was actually called bonus daimon or good spirit. It tends to bring better fortune. Also, a third factor about his Saturn is that it's what's called oriental. It rises before the sun. And this was considered to be another factor alongside whether the chart was a day or a nighttime chart. Saturn is one of the planets that does better being oriental, preceding the sun. It's like it's leading the sun. So before dawn, before the sun rises, Saturn rises. This tends to mean that the person will be more proactive, particularly because Saturn in Harry's chart represents him, because his ascendant is Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. Therefore Saturn is Harry, or represents a lot of the way he acts in the world. So in his chart, Saturn is in a relatively fortunate position and very prominent. It's oriental, meaning he takes more action, he's more motivated to do stuff about any fears or sort of Saturn-y limiting issues that he may encounter. And he's born during the day, so it tends to mean that over time, particularly any of those fears and will tend to get easier. He will tend to deal with them better over time. In fact, the ancient Roman astrologer Firmicus said of Saturn, I'm just checking my notes here, he said it brings moderately good fortune. And he's talking about Saturn in the 11th sign, particularly during the day. It brings moderately good fortune, but he says that before the 30th year, whatever is achieved will be lost. And that ties into, if you watch Rod's video on Saturn, he talked about the Saturn return, which happens in the late 20s, 27, 28, 29, 30, that kind of time, usually before the age of 29. What that means is by the time Saturn has completed one full cycle and returned to the point in the sky it was when you were born, you've usually got a level of maturity to be able to deal with whatever issues that Saturn represents. So I think that's what Firmicus is probably referring to there. Last but not least, I think Saturn in Harry's chart also represents his ancestry, because Saturn has something to do with one's ancestors, one's grandparents, and I think Saturn in Harry's chart is exactly the same as the Saturn in his grandmother Queen Elizabeth's chart. She is also Capricorn rising with Saturn in Scorpio, so there are similar resonances of responsibility, but his responsibility is slightly less onerous than his grandmother's, because his grandmother is born at night, making her Saturn a little heavier than his. So that's it. If you're interested to find out about your Saturn, then why not look at our course.
28年一次的土星回归是星象给我们的成年礼，也是找回人生主导权的重要时刻。想知道你正在面对什么样的人生课题吗？欢迎报名鲁道夫老师的占星视频课，理解土星回归28年一次的检视与重整，或许能帮助我们在面对未知时有更多的方向。或者你也可以参考我们即将开始的心理占星系统课程，从基础开始深入理解行星、星座与宫位的本质意涵，还有马可士老师指导的主线法，也就是一次推运。报名资讯请加赖或在脸书私讯鲁道夫。感谢您看到最后，也请您点赞分享本影片，我们下次见。